The more you care, the more you get played. That one hits, doesn't it? Because deep down you know it's true. The more you chase, the more they pull away. The more you try to prove your worth, the more they take you for granted. The more available you are, the less valuable you become in their eyes, and that's the biggest trap of all. But here's the truth, my friends. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to beg for attention. You don't need to exhaust yourself trying to be enough for someone who doesn't even appreciate what you bring to the table. What you do need is to walk away, not with anger, not with bitterness, not as a game, but with power. Because when you ignore them, when you pull back, when you stop feeding their ego, that's when the whole dynamic flips. Suddenly, you're not the one wondering. They are. Before we dive deeper, do yourself a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. You're here because you're ready to shift, to level up, to stop wasting your energy on people who don't deserve it. This space is all about reclaiming your power. Now, folks, imagine this. You're at a party, holding a drink, minding your own business. There's one person in the room desperately trying to impress everyone, laughing too loudly, talking too much, constantly checking if people are watching them. Then there's another person, calm, collected, leaning back, saying very little, but everyone notices them. Why? Because they're unbothered. They're not seeking attention. Attention comes to them. That's the game we're playing here. The more you seek, the less you attract. The moment you stop proving yourself, the moment you stop checking for them, the moment you pull back, they start feeling it. And let's be real. How many times have you been on the other side? Think about a song you used to play on repeat. The one you loved so much that you listened to it over and over, until one day you didn't. It just became background noise. You got used to it, and it lost its spark. But then one day, out of nowhere, the song stops playing. You don't hear it for weeks, and suddenly you miss it. You want it back. You start remembering why you loved it in the first place. That's human nature, my friends. We crave what we don't have. We notice absence more than presence. When something is too available, too constant, too predictable, we tune it out. But the moment it's gone, the moment we feel that void, that's when we start realizing its value. And this is exactly why ignoring someone is so powerful. It's not about playing games. It's about stopping the cycle of overgiving. It's about refusing to be taken for granted. It's about understanding that your worth doesn't decrease just because someone else fails to see it. But here's the part that really gets you. When you ignore them, they don't just start noticing you. They start questioning themselves. Why aren't they reacting? Did I lose my hold over them? Are they talking to someone else? And once that seed of doubt is planted, it grows. Because people don't just miss you. They miss the control they thought they had over you. Let's talk about the biggest lie society has fed you. If you love someone, you have to fight for them. No, you don't. If someone values you, they won't put you in a position where you have to fight just to be seen, just to be chosen, just to be enough. So my friends, this isn't about games. It's about power. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing that you don't need to run after anyone because the right people don't need chasing. So say this with me. I am done chasing. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Let it be real. And trust me, if you think this is powerful, wait until you see what happens next. Because the moment you step back, the moment you reclaim your energy, they won't know what hit them. Stay with me. This is just the beginning. Number 1, attention is a currency. Stop giving it for free. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. That one stings a little, doesn't it? Because most of the pain you feel right now isn't even real. It's a story you keep telling yourself, a fear that if you stop giving them attention, they'll forget about you. A belief that if you pull away, they'll move on and never look back. But what if I told you that's a lie? See, people crave attention. It's not just something they enjoy, it's a currency in human dynamics. The more freely you give it, the less valuable it becomes. When someone has unlimited access to your time, energy, and emotions, they stop appreciating it. They start treating it like an endless resource, always available, always there, no matter how they treat you. But the moment you stop, the moment you go quiet, the moment you stop feeding their ego, everything shifts. Imagine you're at a restaurant and the waiter keeps refilling your water glass every few minutes, even when you haven't taken a sip. At first, it's nice and convenient, but after a while, you don't even notice it anymore. The water just keeps coming, and you stop appreciating it. But then suddenly, the refills stop. You reach for your glass, and it's empty. Now you notice. That's exactly how attention works. When it's always there, it blends into the background. But the moment it disappears, it creates a void. And that void, that's what makes them wonder. Why aren't they reacting? Did I lose my hold over them? Who else are they giving attention to? Their mind starts racing, trying to fill in the blanks. That's the power of silence. Because let's be real. When was the last time someone ignored you and you didn't think about them at all? It doesn't happen, does it? Because what's missing stands out more than what's always there. Here's where the fear kicks in. I know what you're thinking, but if I ignore them, won't they forget about me? What if they never come back? What if they move on to someone else? Lies, every single one. People don't forget what made them feel something. They don't just move on from something that once held weight in their life. What they do forget are things that are too easy, too available, too expected. Think about the last time you misplaced your phone. Did you calmly accept its absence? Or did you tear apart the room looking for it? Because that's what happens when someone loses access to something they took for granted. They panic. They start retracing their steps. They feel a sudden desperate urge to get it back. Now, imagine you're that phone. They never noticed how much they checked for you, how much they expected your presence, how much they relied on knowing you'd always be there, until suddenly you weren't. And that's when the obsession starts. But let's talk about the real reason why this is so hard for you. You've been conditioned to believe that love equals effort, that if you just show them more, give them more, prove yourself more, then they will finally see your worth. But the truth is, the more you try, the less they value it, because people don't respect what they don't have to earn. And right now, you're giving them everything for free. Imagine a store that never closes, never raises its prices, and never runs out of stock. People walk in and out, taking whatever they want, whenever they want, whenever they want, without a second thought. Why? Because it's always there. There's no urgency, no scarcity, no fear of loss. But the moment that store puts up a closed sign, people start paying attention. Wait, why aren't they open? When will they come back? Did I miss out? That's human nature, my friends. The moment something becomes scarce, it becomes valuable. And that's why ignoring them works. But here's the part they don't tell you. It's not easy. Because at first, you'll feel the urge to break the silence, to check in, to make sure they know you still care. Your brain will scream at you. What if they forget about me? What if they think I don't care? What if they find someone else? That's just fear talking. Because deep down, you know the truth. If someone can forget you that easily, they were never truly invested in the first place. And if they replace you without hesitation, they never valued you to begin with. So, this isn't about winning or getting them back. This is about learning to stop overgiving, about realizing that your attention is a gift, not a guarantee. And let's be clear, this isn't a game. It's not about playing hard to get or manipulating anyone. It's about owning your worth and refusing to hand it out like it's nothing. So what do you do instead? You shift your energy back to yourself. You stop waiting, stop checking, stop hoping. You become the one who is scarce, the one who is unpredictable, the one who is not easily available. Because let me tell you something, nothing is more attractive than someone who doesn't need validation. Confidence, that's magnetic. Self-respect, that's irresistible. And when you finally stop pouring your energy into people who don't appreciate it, that's when you become truly powerful. So say this with me: my attention is valuable. I will not give it away for free. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let them know that from this moment forward, your energy, your time, your attention, it's no longer up for grabs. And trust me, my friends, if you think this shift is powerful, wait until you see what happens next. Because ignoring them isn't just about making them notice you. It's about becoming the person they wish they had never lost. Stay with me. It's about to get even better. Number 2, scarcity creates value. You become the prize. The less you respond to negativity, the more powerful you become. That's what we're talking about today. The power that comes when you stop being easily available. The power that comes when you stop handing yourself over to people who never earned you. The power that comes when you finally understand that scarcity creates value. Let's be real. What happens when something is always there? When it's always accessible, always responding, always giving? It becomes common, expected, ignored. And that's what most people do in relationships, in friendships, in life. They overgive, over-explain, overprove their worth, thinking that the more effort they put in, the more they'll be valued. But the truth is, the easier you are to access, the less they appreciate you. Now flip the script. What happens when something is rare? When it's not always available and carries a certain exclusivity, it becomes valuable. People chase what they think they might lose. And that's exactly what happens when you ignore them. When you remove your presence, when you stop making yourself so accessible, suddenly you're not just there waiting. Suddenly they feel the distance, the uncertainty, the lack of control over you, and that drives people crazy. Think about it. Why do people spend thousands on luxury brands? Why do they line up for hours to get the latest iPhone? Why do they want what's hard to get? Because exclusivity demands respect. Luxury brands don't beg for attention. They don't run after customers. They don't go on clearance sales desperate for buyers. They set the price, and people come to them. You're the luxury item. You don't lower your worth for anyone. You don't chase. You set the standard. And if someone doesn't see your value, that's their loss. But let's talk about the fear, because I know it's there. If I pull back, won't they forget about me? If I stop texting first, won't they just move on? If I make myself less available, won't they find someone else? Lies. Every single one. See, people don't forget what made them feel something. They don't move on from something valuable. They don't replace something irreplaceable. And here's what they don't tell you. When you become scarce, when you stop being so accessible, you don't just become valuable to them. You become valuable to yourself. You stop seeking approval. You stop feeling the need to prove yourself. You start focusing on your own growth, your own happiness, your own energy. And that's when they start chasing. Because now you're not just someone they can have. You're someone they wish they had. But let's get one thing straight. This isn't a trick. This isn't about manipulating people or playing games. This is about self-worth. It's about understanding that your time, your presence, your energy, it's not free. And if someone wants access to it, they have to earn it. Think about a concert ticket. If a show is happening every single night, tickets are cheap and there are always open seats. Nobody rushes to get one. But if there's only one show, one night, limited tickets, people scramble to get in. You're the one night only show. Not because you're trying to make them miss you, not because you're trying to create false scarcity, but because you genuinely understand your value. Let's be honest. How much energy have you wasted on people who didn't deserve it? How much time have you spent proving yourself to people who never even appreciated it? How much effort have you put into keeping people in your life who should have been left behind a long, long time ago? Enough. It's time to start operating differently. It's time to stop handing yourself over on a silver platter. Because the right people, they don't expect you to beg for their attention. They don't take you for granted. They step up. So say this with me. I am the prize. I don't chase. I attract. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let it be known that from this moment forward, your energy is exclusive. And trust me, my friends, if you think this shift is powerful, wait until you see what happens next. Because once you understand your value, you become untouchable. Stay with me. The best part is coming. Number 3, the mystery factor. They start wondering about you. Silence is sometimes the best answer. Nothing unsettles a person more than not knowing what's going on. It eats at them from the inside, creating a void that their mind desperately tries to fill. And when that void is you, that's when things get interesting. See, when you were always there, always answering their messages, always reacting to their posts, always showing up for them, they had you figured out. You were predictable, expected. They knew exactly how you would respond, how you felt, what you were thinking, and that gave them control. Cool. But when you stop explaining yourself, when you go quiet, when you become unpredictable, it drives them crazy, because suddenly they don't have that certainty anymore. And people, they don't like uncertainty. They don't like not knowing if they still have you. What are they thinking? Are they mad at me? Are they seeing someone else? And that little voice in their head grows louder because now they can't ignore you. Think about a book you're reading. If you already know the ending, if every chapter is predictable, you stop caring. You skim through the pages, or worse, you put it down completely. When a book keeps you guessing, when it leaves you wondering what's coming next, when it creates tension and mystery, you can't stop reading. That's what happens when you become the mystery. And let's be real. How many times have you been on the other side of this? How many times have you overanalyzed a short reply, an ignored message, a sudden change in behavior? How many times have you driven yourself crazy trying to figure out what someone else was thinking? Because that's human nature, my friends. We obsess over what we don't understand. So when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop giving them the emotional roadmap they're used to, you force them into that state of wondering. And here's the part that messes with them the most. They don't know if you're ignoring them on purpose, if you've moved on, or if you simply stopped caring. And the moment someone isn't sure where they stand with you, they start chasing clarity. But let's talk about the fear, because I know it's there. What if they don't care that I went silent? What if they don't notice? What if they move on? Let me tell you something. They notice. People always notice when the energy shifts. They might not say it. They might not react immediately, but they feel it. It's like walking into a room where a candle used to burn. At first the scent was everywhere, so strong you barely paid attention to it. But then the candle is blown out, and little by little, the scent fades. Suddenly, you notice its absence. Suddenly, you miss what was once filling the space. That's exactly what happens when you pull back. They might act like they don't care at first. They might even try to match your silence to see who will break first. But inside, they're wondering. They're checking their phone, scrolling through your posts, analyzing old conversations, trying to figure out where they lost you. And here's the real power move. You don't explain yourself. You don't send a long message about why you pulled back. You don't try to make them see your worth. You let them feel the absence and come to their own realization. Because the second you break the silence first, you give the power back. But I get it. This isn't easy. You've been conditioned to believe that you have to explain everything. That if someone doesn't understand why you're upset, why you pulled away, why you stopped engaging, then it's your job to make them understand. But it's not. Silence is an answer. Distance is a message. Your absence speaks louder than words ever could. And when someone truly values you, they won't need you to explain. They'll realize it on their own. So stop making it easy for them. Stop filling in the blanks. Stop doing all the emotional labor. Let them wonder. Because once that curiosity sets in, once that need for clarity starts eating at them, that's when they start chasing, not because you forced them to, not because you played a game, but because you changed the dynamic. So say this with me: I don't explain myself. Let them wonder. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let it be known that from now on, you are the mystery they can't ignore. And trust me, my friends, this is just the beginning. Because when you stop being predictable, when you stop being easy to figure out, something even bigger happens. Stay with me, it's about to get even better. Number 4, ignoring someone breaks their ego. Let's get one thing straight, my friends. Ignoring someone isn't passive, it's a power move. Most people think silence is weakness, that walking away means losing. But that's the biggest lie you've been fed. Ignoring someone isn't about giving up. It's about taking your power back. See, most people love control. They don't necessarily want you, but they want to know they could have you if they wanted to. They keep you on the hook, feeding you just enough attention to keep you interested. Hoping, waiting. A like here, a message there, a late reply just when you were about to move on. It's all strategic. It's all about control. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop playing their game, it shatters their ego. Because they were used to being the one who decided when and how you talked. They were used to you being the predictable one, the one who always replied, always cared, always made an effort. But now you've flipped the script. And suddenly, they're the one left wanting. Because ignoring someone forces them to confront something they were never prepared for, losing control over you. Think about it. Have you ever seen a cat ignore a toy until it starts rolling away? Suddenly, it's interested. It pounces, it chases, it refuses to let it escape. But before that, it didn't care. That's how human nature works. When you were always there, they had the upper hand. They knew they could ignore you today and still have you tomorrow. They knew they could leave your messages on read, delay their replies, cancel plans last minute, and you'd still be waiting. But the moment you stop responding, the moment you remove yourself from their emotional leash, they feel it. And that's a wound to the ego. Because here's the truth. Most people don't fear losing you. They fear losing control over you. They fear losing the ability to get a reaction from you. They fear losing the comfort of knowing you'll always care. They fear realizing that you never needed them in the first place. And here's where it gets even better. When you ignore them, it forces them to ask a terrifying question. Wait, was I not as important to them as I thought? Because people like to think they're special. They like to believe that no matter what they do, you'll always be there. But when you don't react, when you don't chase, when you stop playing their little games, it's a direct hit to their pride. And let's be real. Most people would rather believe you're mad at them than believe you don't care at all. Because anger still means you're emotionally invested. It means they still have a hold over you. But silence is terrifying, because silence means they no longer have power over you. And that is the ultimate loss. But let's talk about the hardest part. Why this is so difficult for you. Because I know what you're thinking. But if I ignore them, won't they forget about me? What if they think I don't care? What if this just pushes them away for good? That fear, that's what they've been using to keep you in line this whole time. That's the hook they've had in you. Your need to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be validated. They've conditioned you to believe that if you stop trying, you'll lose them. But let's flip that for a second. If ignoring them is enough to make them disappear, were they ever really there in the first place? If someone only stays in your life because you're the one putting in all the effort, is that even a real connection? Or are you just entertaining someone who never deserved a seat at your table? See, you were never afraid of losing them. You were afraid of what losing them would say about you. You were afraid that if they left, it would mean you weren't enough. You were afraid that if they moved on, it would mean you lost. You were afraid that if they stopped caring, it would prove you weren't valuable. But that's the lie. Because your value was never based on how someone else treated you. Your worth doesn't decrease just because someone failed to see it. And the moment you realize that, the moment you truly own it, you become untouchable. Because now you're no longer reacting. Now you're the one in control. Now you're not moved by breadcrumbs. And trust me, my friends, they will feel that shift. Because when you no longer give them your energy, they start craving it. When you no longer react, they start wondering. When you no longer show them they matter, they start fearing that maybe, just maybe, they never did. So say this with me: I control my emotions. No one else does. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let it be known that from this moment forward, your energy is yours to protect. And trust me, if you think this hit hard, wait until you see what's coming next. Because when you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop being an easy option, that's when they start chasing. Stay with me. It's about to get even better. Number 5. The law of reverse psychology. They chase what they can't have. Let's talk about one of the most undeniable truths in human psychology. People don't chase what's given to them. They chase what they can't have. They obsess over what they don't understand. They crave what's just out of reach. And that's exactly why ignoring someone flips the entire script. When you ignore someone, you're not just walking away. You're doing something far more powerful. You're not giving them closure, and that's psychological warfare, because humans hate loose ends. We hate not knowing how a story ends. We hate not having control over a situation. And when someone stops giving us answers, we start searching for them. So when you stop responding, when you stop explaining, when you stop feeding their ego, they start chasing, not because they love you, but because they need to prove to themselves that they still have power over you. Because that's what it was always about. Power. It was never about how much they cared. It was never about their feelings being genuine. It was about control. They liked knowing you would always be there. They liked knowing you'd always reply. They liked knowing they could come and go as they pleased. But now they don't know where they stand with you, and that drives them insane. Because before, they had the upper hand. They knew exactly what buttons to press. They knew that if they ignored you for a few days, you'd come running back. They knew that if they sent a half-hearted "I miss you" text, you'd melt. But now, nothing. Silence, a blank screen, and suddenly they're the ones checking their phone. They're the ones stalking your social media. They're the ones wondering why you're not reacting. Because here's the brutal truth. Most people don't fear losing you. They fear losing their grip on you. And when you finally take that power back, they don't know what to do with themselves. Think about a vending machine. When you put money in and press the button, you expect to get what you paid for. But what happens when nothing comes out? What happens when the machine stops responding? You don't just walk away, do you? No. You hit the button again. You shake the machine. You get frustrated because you expected a reaction. And when you didn't get one, you lost control. That's exactly how people react when they suddenly can't manipulate you anymore. They don't chase you because they suddenly realized your worth. They don't come back because they've had some deep emotional awakening. They chase you because their ego is bruised. Because people like to believe they have power over others, that they can walk away and return whenever they feel like it, that they can play games and still win. But here's where you win. You don't give in. You don't give them the reaction they're hoping for. You don't fall for the fake apology, the casual, hey, how have you been? Text, the sudden interest in your life, because when they come back, it's not about love, it's about control. And if you fall for it, you hand them that control right back. So let me ask you, how many times have you fallen for this cycle? How many times have they disappeared only to reappear when they saw you moving on? How many times have you mistaken their need for validation as a sign of love? Enough. Because the moment you stop playing their game is the moment they realize they never had as much power over you as they thought. And that's the ultimate checkmate, because now they're left sitting with the discomfort of their own action. Now they're the ones wondering if they should have treated you better. Now they're the ones losing sleep, questioning why you don't care anymore. And the best part, you've already moved on. You've already stepped into the next chapter of your life, one where you don't hand your power away so easily. One where you don't entertain people who only want you when it's convenient for them. Because once you realize this truth, you can never be manipulated again. So say this with me: I do not give people power over me. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let it be known that from this moment forward, you are in control. And trust me, if you think this shift is powerful, wait until you see what happens next. Because once they realize they can't control you anymore, that's when the real panic begins. Stay with me. It's about to get even better. Number 6, your energy shifts, and they feel it. Let's talk about energy, not in some mystical, abstract way, but in the real, undeniable way that people feel your presence even when you're not around. Because energy is everything. It's in the way you carry yourself. It's in the way you move, speak, react, or don't react. It's in the things you give your attention to. And the moment you stop focusing on them, the moment you pull your energy away, they feel it. At first, they might not even notice. They might assume you're still there, still watching, still waiting. But then, little things start to change. You stop posting those sad quotes. You stop checking their page. You stop reacting when they try to get a rise out of you. You stop caring what they think. And that's when they feel it. Because before, your energy was on them. They could sense it, even in your silence. They knew you were still invested. But now you've shifted. Now your focus is on you. Now your time is spent on things that actually matter. Now you're becoming a version of yourself that isn't affected by their absence. And that's magnetic, because here's the thing people never tell you. You don't have to do anything to make someone feel your absence. You don't have to post anything cryptic. You don't have to try to make them jealous. You don't have to do anything at all. All you have to do is stop feeding them your energy. And when you do, they feel the loss. Because suddenly the constant supply of attention they were used to is gone. Suddenly they're scrolling through their feed, expecting to see something about them, but nothing's there. Suddenly they're checking their messages, expecting a reaction, but there's silence. And that silence, it's deafening, because people don't just miss you. They miss the version of themselves that existed when they had your attention. They miss feeling important. They miss knowing they could affect you. They miss the comfort of knowing they had some kind of power over you. But now they're left wondering. Wait, have they really moved on? Why aren't they reacting? Who are they giving their attention to instead? And here's where it gets even better. This shift isn't even about them anymore. This is about you. Because let's be real, how much time have you spent overthinking them? How much energy have you wasted waiting for them to realize your worth? How much of your peace have you sacrificed just to keep someone in your life who wasn't even giving you their full effort? Enough. It's time to take all that energy, the energy you were giving away for free, and pour it back into yourself. You start focusing on your goals. You start taking care of yourself, not to impress them, but because you deserve it. You start feeling lighter, freer, more at peace. And the irony, that's when they want back in, because confidence, that's attractive, because self-respect, that's rare, because a person who isn't dependent on external validation, that's a person people can't ignore. But here's the part where most people mess up. When they notice your energy shift, when they suddenly feel the distance, they will test you. They'll send a casual text, "Hey, how have you been?" They'll like your post, hoping you'll take the bait. They'll try to get a reaction out of you just to see if they still have access to your emotions. And this is your moment of truth. Because if you respond the way they expect you to, if you fall back into the old pattern, you undo everything. But if you stay in your power, if you keep your energy where it belongs, on yourself, that's when the real shift happens. Because you're no longer someone they can play games with. You're no longer someone they can pull back in with breadcrumbs. You're no longer fueling their ego at the expense of your own self-worth. And trust me, my friends, that's when they panic, because they don't just see your absence, they feel it. And there's nothing more powerful than someone who has finally realized they are enough without needing anyone else's validation. So say this with me: I am my own source of happiness. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let it be known that from this moment forward, your energy is yours to protect. And trust me, if you think this shift is powerful, wait until you see what's coming next. Because when they realize they can't manipulate your emotions anymore, when they see that you're thriving without them, that's when they start to regret everything. Stay with me, it's about to get even better. Number 7, ignoring them reveals who they really are. The truth, that's what we're getting into today. Because the moment you pull back, the moment you stop chasing, the moment you remove yourself from the equation, you see everything clearly. No more illusions, no more wishful thinking, no more pretending that if you just tried a little harder, gave a little more, they'd finally see your worth. Because now, the mask comes off. When you stop handing out your energy for free, you see exactly who they are and what you meant to them. Do they fight for you? Do they step up? Do they finally recognize the value they took for granted? Or do they just get mad because they lost control? Because that's the difference, my friends. That's the line between real and fake. Real connections don't break just because you stop chasing. Real people don't forget about you just because you stop begging for their attention. But those who are only in your life for selfish reasons, they get angry, they get distant, they make zero effort to keep you around. And that tells you everything you need to know. Because let's be honest, you were afraid to pull back. You were afraid that if you stopped texting first, if you stopped checking in, if you stopped making an effort, they'd forget about you. And now you see the truth. If they let you go without a second thought, they never valued you in the first place. And I know that realization stings. It hits deep, doesn't it? Because for so long, you told yourself that they cared, that they were just bad at showing it, that if you could just be more patient, they'd eventually wake up and start treating you right. But now that you're no longer initiating giving, over-explaining, holding the connection together, silence. And that's silence. And that's silence. Because people make time for what matters to them. They put effort into what they don't want to lose. They show up when something or someone is important to them. And if they're not showing up for you now, if they're not checking in, not asking where you went, not even bothering to fight for the space you once filled in their life, they were never afraid of losing you, because they never thought you were something to lose. And that's where everything changes. Because now you're no longer wondering. Now you're no longer waiting for them to see your worth. Now you're no longer hoping they come back, because you see it. You see that their absence isn't a loss, it's a reveal of who they always were, a reveal of how little they actually valued you. A reveal of the fact that you were the only one trying, and that should set you free, because this was never about you not being enough. This was never about you not trying hard enough. This was never about you needing to prove your worth. This was about them not being capable of seeing it. And if someone can't see your value, if someone only stuck around because you made it easy for them, that's not love. That's not friendship. That's just convenience. And you're done being someone's convenience. So say this with me. The right people never leave. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let it be known that you will never again chase someone who doesn't choose you. Because real connections don't require you to beg. Real relationships don't fall apart just because you stop trying. Real love doesn't disappear when you stop proving yourself. And trust me, if you think this hit hard, wait until you see what happens next. Because the next part, that's when they finally start to realize what they lost. Stay with me. It's about to get even better. Number 8, the ultimate shift. You stop caring and they start. And here's the final truth, my friends, the one you might not believe just yet, but soon you will. When you ignore them long enough, you stop wanting them back. At first it's hard. The silence feels heavy. You wonder if they notice, if they care, if they'll ever reach out. But something strange happens. The more you focus on yourself, the more you heal, the more you pour energy into your own life, they start to stop mattering. They might come running. They might start chasing. They might try everything in their power to pull you back in. But by then, you won't even care. Because you've built something far greater than their validation. You've built a life where their presence is no longer necessary. And that is the ultimate shift. Because this was never about them. It was never about making them regret, making them miss you, or making them realize what they lost. This was always about you. About finally breaking free from the cycle of overgiving, over-explaining, and over-proving. It's about recognizing that your worth was never in their hands. It was in yours all along, and now you see it. Now you wake up without wondering about them. Now you go through your day without checking for their name. Now you realize they were never the prize. You were. And that's what shakes them the most. Because before they had control. Before, they knew you'd always care. But now they see the truth. They weren't special. They weren't irreplaceable. They were just someone who didn't see your worth until you stopped caring. So say this with me. I am free. Write it in the comments. Show yourself, show the world. Let it be known that you are no longer waiting, hoping, or chasing. Because this is what true power feels like. And if you've made it this far, you already know there's no going back.